What's up, everybody? It's your second favorite platyperson, and much like the platypus and gas station bathroom hand sanitizer, I don't do much. So I recently joined a Facebook group for Kawasaki Ninjas, and I've been seeing several posts in the last couple weeks about people, newcomers to the sport, having difficulties or problems or just a hard time getting downshifting. And so I thought I would take some time today to give my advice on how to make that change into a lower gear smoother for you. So probably the absolute smoothest way to come to a stop is to just pull in the clutch like this and just apply the brakes and come to the stop. But you know, that's not so much fun. Now you guys can all tell me the reason why you downshift, but the reason why I downshift is first and foremost so that I'm in the appropriate gear in case I do need to get back onto the gas. Second of all is it allows you to use the engine braking when you're decelerating in gear. And when done correctly, you can even use the brakes to assist with that as well to slow down even further, or quicker. Now, of course, you could just, you know, let off the gas, I'm off the gas, pull in the clutch, click it down, let the clutch out. See, and that works. But it's not exactly smooth. And depending on what type of bike you have and your gear ratios, that could allow the back tire to get a little loose. Now with most newer Kawasaki's, they do have a slipper clutch, so like you can drop a couple gears. See, now I'm in first, and just let the clutch out, and it won't let the back tire spin at all. But to make that process smoother, which is what everybody's looking for, is you have to downshift and rev match. And so that's really what I wanted to go over today. Now I know that most of you guys that are learning to do this and just starting riding are probably on smaller bikes. I did want to go over it and explain it on this bike, just because it has that LED tack, so that you can visually see better what I'm doing with the RPM. But after I'm done with this, I will jump on the 400 and demonstrate on that one as well. So I can hear you guys already. Yes, Kricket, explain to us what rev matching is. Teach us how to do it. We'll have no fear. So rev matching is when you bring the RPM up when you're switching into a lower gear, say from third to second, second to first, or so on. The engine speed needs to speed up to match the wheel speed because of the change in the gear ratio. And to do that, all you do is just a quick little of the throttle, and you can see on my tachometer there, it's not much. That's all it is. So what you would be doing is when you're in gear, let's say you're in fourth gear and you're slowing down for a red light, all you got to do is pull in the clutch, click it down the gear, blip the throttle, and then let the clutch back out. Okay. Of course, that would all be one fluid motion, and it would look like this. Okay, and then while the clutch is in, also click down with your left foot there on the shifter. So blipping the throttle is just that. You just want to give it a little blip. Okay, think of it like on radar or sonar or whatever. You know, when you think of a blip, you think of, you know, the little boom, boom. You know, like on a sonar, like on a submarine, right? And that's all it is. That's all it is. It's just boom. Okay. So it's not even like a whole second. It's like a quarter of a second, half a second, just a little blip like that. Okay. And when done correctly, the RPM will match the wheel speed, and when you let the clutch out, you won't feel any jerking at all. It'll be really smooth. Okay, so I'm gonna get back on the road here, and I'm gonna show you what that looks like. Okay, so I'm going to get up to about 4th gear just so I have a couple gears to show you guys in. Okay, and I hope you guys can see everything well on my gauges here. But here we are in 4th gear. You can see the RPM is right about 5,000. Okay, I'm going to let off the gas. Okay, so we're engine braking. I'm going to bring in the clutch, blip the throttle, click down, and let out the clutch. Like that. See? That was maybe a little too much gas. Okay, I'm going to speed up just a little bit. Okay, I'm off the gas. See? Simple as that. I realize for some it may not be that simple, but it's definitely like a learning thing. Like, you definitely don't just get it on your first couple tries. You know? You just have to play around with it. Also, going from a higher gear, like 4th, 5th, or 6th, down one is going to be a lot easier to practice in, because it won't be so jerky. It's a little bit less of a gear ratio in between those gears. So if you don't do it quite right, it won't be so jerky if you mess up. So let's get into 6th gear here. See, I barely had to do anything going from 6th to 5th, from 5th to 4th. Okay. But yeah, just play around with it. Get into a spot where you can get up to speed a little bit. Probably not on a street like this, but just pull in the clutch, blip the throttle, click it down, let out the clutch. All in one motion. And you guys see how quickly that happens. Okay. So here's how quickly it happens. I'm off the gas. Okay. Now I would be careful practicing from 2nd to 1st, just because there's such a big, there's a much bigger difference between those gears than all the other gears. So it takes a little bit more gas to make it smoother. And I know I just pulled in the clutch and clicked it down. I understand the irony there. But 2nd to 1st is always going to be the most difficult, because it's different than the other gears. I don't know how else to say it other than the gear ratios are less forgiving 2nd to 1st. So that's how, visually how you do it. But I know that a lot of you are on smaller bikes, and you're probably wondering, well, can I make it as smooth on a smaller bike? You know, the leader bike has better throttle response, or it's a bigger engine, it'll make it easier. I don't know if the engine size makes it easier. Throttle response to a certain point, yeah. But if you're used to your bike and your throttle response, it's really not a big deal. But yeah, so now I'm gonna go grab the 400, and I'm gonna show you guys on that one, because it is a little difficult to downshift from 2nd to 1st on that one for me. It's not quite as easy as on this bike. So we'll be right back. Okay. She's a little dusty. She's been in hibernation past couple months. But it does start, I checked. Okay, so here we are in 5th. And we're just going to do the same thing. Off the gas, blip the throttle. And you can see how little the RPM is moving when I do that. Like I was doing going a little too slow here. So here we go again. We're just gonna blip the throttle. Blip the throttle. And now for this 400 and the 300 too, this would apply. I rarely ever downshift into first, just because it's so low of a gear. You really don't need to when you're coming to a stop. It's really just used to get going. But when I come up to the next stop sign here, I'll show you like how different it is going into first. Like I feel like I have to give it a lot more gas to do that, to blip the throttle appropriately, an appropriate amount. And I'm probably not even going to do it right on the first try. Okay, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. See, I did it about the same amount, but it still jerked a little bit because the engine speed wasn't fast enough still. So you really have to like consciously give it more gas. So let's do it right here while there's no cars. Okay, 2nd. See, it still wasn't enough. That was a little bit better. But you can probably tell on the camera. Actually, I'm not sure if you can. But the difference in the sound of the RPM between 2nd and 1st is more than between the other gears. But like I said, you have to figure out what works best for your bike. Maybe some other bikes don't have the same gear ratios as ours do. Maybe it's easier to go from 2nd to 1st on your bike than it is for all the other gears. But if you take those concepts, those principles, and those hand movements, and apply them to whatever situation you're riding on, you'll get it. It just takes practice. You know, nobody was born perfect. Nobody just jumped on a bike and instantly was, you know, a street Rossi. That was a little bit better. Yeah. So, I mean, I hope I helped you guys out. So don't get discouraged if it's not smooth right away. Just keep practicing, guys. That's all it is the more seat time you have, the more muscle memory you'll get, and the smoother everything will be. You know, upshifting, downshifting, braking, accelerating, turning, you know, just practice. Oh, and I forgot, the last reason why I downshift is because it sounds cool. Leave a like if you think it sounds cool. I love riding this bike, but I don't love being seen on this bike because I'm a big guy and this is a little bike. It looks pretty funny. But that's it for today, guys. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. If you have any suggestions of any other videos where you would like me to explain certain concepts, preferably ones that I know how to do, let me know as well. If you guys are part of the group on Facebook, let me know what you thought of it, and you know, I'll see you guys on the page. But that's it for today, so I'll see you guys in the next one. this person doing? They're all the way in the intersection. The line is back here, lady.